Hey everybody, Professor Snart here, checking in for no particular reason other than just kind of to introduce myself. So we are kind of in the middle of Unit 2 right now. Normally I like these when I just have the screen up to walk us through kind of assignments or uh, things that we've covered, where we're headed in the future, main points or things that we're doing in the course. But up front here, I figured since everybody did such a great job in Unit 1 of introducing themselves and generating lots of interesting conversation within the discussion board, I figured I would kind of do the same thing. So I don't normally like the talking head thing here, but it serves a short purpose, at least for now. So yeah, the course that you're in right now, the Honors English 1130, is I think the only online course that we have here at COD, and I don't want to call it an experiment again, but per se, but it certainly started as a bit of a pilot. So this is the second time I'm doing it. Obviously made some changes from the first go round, but got really generally positive feedback from the first, the fall, what was it, 2017, I guess we did. Students seem to have a good experience. And the impetus behind doing it, if you were wondering, is really that we felt that our lit representation of lit classes in the honors offerings was pretty slim. There's maybe one or two here or there, but not tons. And even when we did offer them, they would often not go because of low enrollment. And it wasn't, we sensed, because students were uninterested. It was just the fact of trying to schedule around, sometimes around like a couple of science classes, and your whole day is eaten up practically. So students tended to be focused on some of those, larger time commitment courses, and it was hard to fit anything else in that wasn't really absolutely necessary, like an English 1102, for example, the composition course. So we hit on this idea of trying to offer a literature course, so it was part of what honors students could be doing, but obviously in the online format where you weren't necessarily tied down to a particular like classroom time and day every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. So that's kind of where it began. But what it led us to is some really interesting discussions about, I was a big advocate for it, kind of proposed the idea. There were others who were on the fence a little bit. Some were kind of against it because they weren't sure like how an online class could be an honors class. But that led me or some of us to ask like, well, what is an honors class? What makes an honors versus a non-honors class? Because and not just at COD, this is sort of a endemic to honors programs nationally, is trying to define like what's the difference, right? And if I am teaching, let's say, an honors 1102 course, a composition course, and I do something with that honors group that I think is ambitious or collaborative or kind of self-directed or whatever it happens to be, because that is the way that often honors is described, right? It's not more work, but it's deeper work, or I don't even know. If it works and it's successful in the honors classroom, it's crazy not to try it in the non-honors classroom, because again, like you guys know, just because you're in an honors class doesn't mean that every course that every one of those students is taking is an honors class. So you could have a non-honors class with lots of honors students in it, right? Your whole schedule isn't always just honors courses. So we really had an interesting discussion, and it's ongoing, and that's why I'm going to involve you in it as we get a little deeper into our course, around like what makes an honors course an honors course. And I certainly don't have any perfect answers for that. I don't think we as an honors faculty do. And again, we're not some outlier in the world of honors programs. I think most honors programs are always looking to think about and to refine and define just what it means to be an honors program. What does an honors versus a non-honors course look like? How do you define those? How do you advertise them in a meaningful way to students? So it sounds both attractive and not just more reading to do or more work to do, which it certainly is not supposed to be. But you also have to make it like distinct. So how do we make that differentiation without it becoming just totally not attractive as a class to take? So anyway, long story, right? That's kind of where the whole idea behind the honors online course has come from. So part of my goal then, as you're going to see as we go through the course, is to really make it, like I said before, a kind of community building experience, right? So that's why we spend our whole first unit setting up our portfolios, which is like practically useful as we continue through the course, but really just getting to know each other. And then I grabbed everyone's picture from the portfolio and put up the banner. Everyone applied names. So again, we're kind of just literally attaching names to faces. So when we go online, and even if we're doing something in a discussion board, primarily text-based, you just sort of see a name on the, the screen there, you can hopefully begin to actually associate that. Even if you don't remember exactly who that is, you still have that sense of, oh yeah, our class banner, there's actual people out there doing actual things. And of course, a lot of times people are on campus and seeing each other anyway, so you feel like it's an online class, but it's not somehow out in space or totally different from the whole other package of classes that you're doing. So I'm big on collaborative work, right? Like literally collaborating, but also sharing work as we go, not just with me as a finished product that I grade and then who cares about it, but actually showing it off. That's why we do the portfolio, because it really makes for a nice place to collect work, but also to make it accessible to our classmates. So lots of interactivity, lots of creative assignments. I hope you find them interesting and creative, rather than just read the book, write an essay. We throw some quizzes in there, but like I said before, you can have the book open and hopefully get 100% every single time. The quizzes are largely like reading guides almost. They sort of show you or maybe invite you to think about aspects of stories that didn't jump out at you the first time. What else? Hopefully you're finding the class itself relatively easy to navigate as far as what to click to get where, how the assignments are laid out. Hopefully it's not too confusing the way that I have like the discussion board tool as a primary digital tool in Blackboard, but within that will be that embedded Google Doc with an assignment that might have you going like back to your portfolio. So you're sort of coordinating a couple of digital tools, but intentionally on my part, like there's a reason that we're doing it, and hopefully it proves useful for collecting our work, but also making it easily shareable, accessible, and easy to comment on using that discussion board feature, the reply feature. So from my end, I've been at COD for quite a while now, since 2002. I did my PhD down in Florida. It just so happens I'm wearing a Gator shirt today, fluke. I published a number of books. My first one came out in 2006, and it was on the British Romantic poet William Blake, both a poet but also an artist, printmaker, really fascinating guy, but very, PhD literature program grad student-y. So fast forward a couple of years from that, and my next one comes out, and it's on hybrid or blended learning, where you take a class that, let's say it would normally meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to pull out that Friday meeting, so we're going to reduce the seat time, the face-to-face time, but then throw in an online component. So as you can probably guess, I'm a big proponent of how online can be effective. It can be done poorly, but so can in-class teaching, like, let's be honest. But for me, that blended mode is great. I mean, it just combines, ideally, the best of both of the face-to-face, but also online. Then I had another book come out just in 2016. It was also on blended learning, but really taking like an institutional view of it. How can you grow this, that kind of curriculum at the institutional level? So it's not just a couple people sort of doing it here or there with little support. So same subject matter as that book before it, but really taking that broader institutional framework. So anyway, that's where my research interests have led me. What else could I say? I don't know. I'll leave it there for now. One of the things that I hope makes me a good honors teacher, I know that sounds weird to say, but partly is just that I love doing it. That helps. But also I was an honors student. Like I was kind of where each of you are in some ways. You have that transfer trajectory, probably grad school thoughts. You're motivated, even if not across all your classes, at least you have that passion for doing things. You're self-directed, which I think is important, but we want to, and this is where things are interesting now, 21st century wise, is that I read a lot of studies as part of my writing and research about the value of collaborative digital collaboration as a 21st century career skill, almost like a necessary skill, not just a great bonus if you can do it, but almost a necessity for people kind of in your situation. That's a little bit different than when I was coming up as an honors undergrad. But it's challenging, right, to map our impulse to be self-sufficient, self-directed, give me the thing to do and I'll get it done. Try to map that onto what we know is this really valuable career skill, the ability to work with others, and not just sit in a room together and work with others, that's challenging enough, but to actually do it using digital, sometimes asynchronous platforms, like even a Google slide deck or a shared document, for example. My last book was co-authored, and we did it all using Google Docs, mapping out who would do what, but then also revising and rewriting across the whole thing. So there's no sentence in that book that is purely mine, I would bet, or purely my co-authors. It's all those mingled voices, and it makes for a really interesting writing experience. Okay, how did I start talking about that? Well, I don't know. But I hope you're enjoying the course so far. I know we're pretty early into it. Thanks for taking it. It is still a bit of a pilot and experiment as we find out if we can do honors online, and as we have that collective discussion about what even is an honors class, what makes honors versus non-honors. All right, I'll cut myself off there. Again, welcome. Be in touch with me if you have any questions or concerns, and I will check in with everybody later with more of the traditional screen capture to walk us through some of the stuff that we'll be doing in our course.